Hey there everyone, we are now on our part 3 of our new player guides, and for this video we are going to focus about starter weapons. Here are the topics that we're going to tackle. In order to try out different weapons, let us first go to the practice grounds on Meroria. Allow me to introduce to you this game's training dummy. This is where we practice rotations when we want to get used to a new weapon. Before we start, let us first talk about weapon resonance. There are 4 types of weapon resonance: balance, fortitude, attack and benediction. They all have their own effects and the type of resonance will change depending on what kind of weapons you have equipped. Having 2 DPS weapons on you will trigger the attack resonance, which will give you damage boosters. Equipping 2 types of support weapons will grant you the benediction resonance, which will increase your healing by a certain percentage. And then there's fortitude resonance that can be triggered by using 2 tank type weapons. This buffs your tankiness, shield shattering and aggro taking. Lastly, we have the balance resonance. By equipping 3 weapons of different types you will gain all the buffs mentioned earlier, but on a weaker level. Now, as you might know already, there are 5 kinds of elements in the game. We have Frost, Physical, Volt, Flame and Altered. Each and every one of these elements have their own specific effect that can be triggered by doing a basic attack when your energy is full. Let's go ahead and take a closer look on that. Over here we have a full charge of energy and a Volt weapon equipped. Take a close look on how this will take effect. The effect for physical is called Grievous, where the enemies will receive 20% more damage for 7 seconds. Pay attention on how my normal and critical damage increased after triggering Grievous. By the way, these effects are limited to one-time use when you trigger it on the weapon you're holding. As you can see, it's not happening again after many hits. However, you can trigger it again when you swap to another weapon and switch back. Now that we're familiar with all of that, let's take a look on how you can use your very first SSR weapon. I will go ahead and show some starter teams composed of 1 SSR, SR, or even the very basic ones. But before we go there, let's do a showcase of Pepper's weapon, because she will be in all of the teams that we're going to practice with later. She is a very good starter weapon to have on your team because not only does she heal, all of her attack patterns also have high energy charge rate. The best time to swap to Shiro and use her skill is when your energy is almost full. This way you can trigger Grievous and have your skill deal more damage. With King, you start the fight with a skill, jump, then proceed to do all the aerial attacks. Once you land, switch to a bow weapon, use the skill, then do dash attacks before swapping to Pepper. Charge up on energy, then swap into a King discharge. From here you just repeat the cycle. For Crow, you basically just charge up energy. Once full, use his discharge along with the skill and do a dash attack. Then you repeat this simple pattern. With Tsubasa, it's going to be a great help if you equip the Hammer SR weapon, because its second skill allows you to do dash attacks with no cost as long as you do it near where you slammed the ground. Next we have Samia. The way to use her weapon is very simple. Just use discharge along with the skill and proceed to do her jump attack until you run out of stamina. With Meryl, you charge up energy as well. Once full, use discharge and then your skill. After that you can do the hold attack spin. Be advised though that on co-op content you should be careful on using Meryl's discharge, because it can sometimes block or disrupt your teammates' movement. Now we have Humor. Start off with Echo's skill immediately switching into a Humor skill. After that we use all of our dash attacks and finish it off with Echo's discharge. Then we just swap to Pepper and wait for cooldowns to repeat the process. With Zero we just stock up on energy until we can do a discharge. Use the skill when you have it and do jump attack 3 times before going back to energy charging. Then we just repeat the cycle. And with that, that's all of the original standard SSR weapons covered. Let's now proceed to the 1.0 limited characters who are now on standard. Something that you need to know about limited weapons are that they have elemental resonance, which is a buff to your elemental attack. This can be triggered by equipping one more weapon that shares the same element. While we're at it, let's go ahead and talk about weapon kits that are locked behind advancements. Let's take a closer look. Since my Venus is already 4 stars, you will see that these 2 effects are now unlocked. The purple totem won't appear after using the skill not until the weapon is 1 star, and that ring lightning that you're seeing only becomes active when this weapon is 3 stars or higher. After using the skill, do a dash attack without using any directional keys. This will greatly slow your enemy for 3 seconds. Now do some basic attacks in between and you're golden. Next, we have Claudia's Gurren Blade, which is pretty straightforward to use. Just use the skill and do her discharge whenever you get the chance. Lastly we have Frigg. Her weapon is also pretty easy to use. Simply use her skill and keep on spamming dash attacks, because as long as you're inside her frost domain, you will have unlimited dashes. Her skill's cooldown is 30 seconds and your domain lasts 25 seconds, so it's dash attack mania.